How did you wake up this morning? A phone alarm. You hit snooze, maybe slept a little longer, then hit snooze again. If no one called you, you might sleep until noon. But your great-great-great-grandfather was not like this. In an age without electricity, without clocks, without factory whistles, he could open his eyes every single day at 4 in the morning. On time. How'd he do it? This sounds like a boring history question, but the answer will completely change how you understand sleep. Let's first meet a profession that has vanished. In the industrial cities of 19th century Britain and Ireland, every morning before dawn, a strange group of people would appear on the streets. They carried long sticks or pea shooters, walking along the pitch-black streets, knocking on workers' windows. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. They were called knocker-uppers. This was a real, legitimate job. If you were a textile worker, you had to be at the factory every morning at 6. But you couldn't afford a clock. You couldn't afford a servant. So you paid a knocker-upper a few pennies a week. He would memorize your window. He would come on time and tap on your glass until he saw you get up and light a lamp. He would not leave until you were awake. But this profession was not invented by the Industrial Revolution. The ancestors of the knocker-upper can be traced all the way back to the Roman Empire. In the ruins of Pompeii, archaeologists found graffiti. It read, "Good morning, get up." This may be the earliest alarm clock message in human history. So what about before that? For most of human history, people didn't even have the technology of window knocking. But archaeological and anthropological evidence tells us they still managed to wake up on time. And the methods they used are not what you would ever expect. Let's start with the simplest one, drinking water. Medieval monks needed to wake up at 2 in the morning for their first prayer. They had no watches. How did they do it? They invented a method called the bladder clock. Before bed, they would drink a precisely measured amount of water. Not too much, not too little. Just enough to make the urge to urinate wake them up at the scheduled time. Your bladder was the most ancient human timer. Here's an even more elegant one, the candle clock. You carve evenly spaced marks into a candle. You stick a nail into one of the marks. You light the candle. When it burns down to where the nail is, the nail falls with a clink into a metal dish below. It doesn't just wake you up. It measures time. This clock appeared independently in medieval Europe and 9th century China. Native Americans had another method. They discovered that sleep is something you can train. A warrior needed to wake before dawn for patrol. His method was not to be woken up. Before falling asleep, he would stare at a specific tree across the river and repeatedly tell himself, "When the first bird lands on that tree, I will open my eyes." When modern scientists read these anthropological reports, they thought it was pure legend, until they started studying something in the brain called anticipatory awakening. Inside your brain, there's a mechanism called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It is the central clock of your body. It does not need you to see the sun. It tracks the 24-hour cycle on its own. But what is even more astonishing is that it can collaborate with your intention. If you repeatedly tell yourself a precise wake-up time before sleep, your body will release adrenocorticotropic hormone ahead of time, raising your blood pressure and body temperature, and wake you up naturally. Before the invention of the alarm clock, this was the standard human configuration. You were not violently shocked awake by noise. You were gently invited awake by your own body. So you might ask, if the human body has this function, why can't we get up anymore? This is the most ironic part of the story. After inventing the alarm clock, humans finally gained the ability to precisely interrupt their own sleep. But we lost the ability to wake ourselves up. Modern sleep science has a cruel experiment. Find a group of people. Tell them they must wake up at 5 in the morning. No alarm clocks allowed. Most people did indeed wake up around that time. But if you tell them, "Don't worry, sleep in, no one will call you," but in their hearts they don't truly need to get up, then they sleep right through. The problem is not you. The problem is that you know the snooze button is always there. The modern alarm clock does not just wake you up. It is destroying your anticipatory awakening ability. You no longer need to tell your body when to wake up, so your body no longer bothers to remember. But your great-great-great-grandfather was different. He knew no one would remember for him. If he didn't get up to feed the livestock would starve. If he didn't get up to fetch water, there would be no water that day. This knowing was not anxiety. It was a kind of intimacy between body and time that you have never experienced. The knocker-uppers have vanished. Candle clocks gather dust in museums. The bladder clock has been replaced by the snooze button on a smartphone. We now use atomic clocks, precise to within 1 second every 3 billion years. But we, more than any generation in history, struggle to wake up on our own in the morning. Your alarm will go off again tomorrow morning. When you hit snooze, think about this. For thousands of years, every single human was woken by their own body. Only our generation believes our own body cannot be trusted. Maybe tomorrow, you could try something. Before sleep, turn off your phone. Lie in the dark. And seriously, earnestly, tell your brain a time. You don't need any magical ability. You are just activating an ancient program that has existed for millions of years. That program is sitting right now in your suprachiasmatic nucleus, waiting quietly, waiting for you to trust it just once.